Hi, this is Doug Gray of the Marshall Tucker Band. Always keep your eyes open for motorcycles. This message is brought to you by my buddies at Long Island Abate.
Your Island, live and local, with your host, Tom Schiliro, on 103.9 LI News Radio.
And once again, welcome back as we round third, heading up to the 2 o'clock hour. I'm having a lot of fun today. This is a great show. We are taking up a very, very timely topic, and we're faced with a very, very important decision. Now, the governor said he will tell us what, I don't know if I guess he can mandate it. He's saying he can mandate it. De Blasio says New York City Public Schools, the largest school system really in the United States, that he could make the decision. But we're getting there. Next week is August. Everybody starts the back to school specials, and you get your notebooks and your pens and you pay whatever you get. In fact, they don't even do that anymore. It's all computers and tablets and so on. But in the meantime, parents are trying to make some plans and so on. And we've got Lisa Navarro, Child Behavior Consulting, in the studio, one of our senior contributors, and advises us a lot on education issues. Very, very important issue in the state, in the country, and so on, and particularly here in Suffolk County. You've got some facts and figures on this whole thing. To open, not to open, percentages and so on. What do you got for us, Lisa Navarro?
Sure. So in July, the 22nd and 23rd, there was a national online survey by the Education Week Research Center. And they found some very, very interesting statistics, and I'll share some of them with you and your listeners. And 1 in 5 teachers are very concerned about returning, whereas 96% school leaders, 90% district leaders, they want to return back. And some other statistics that really show and highlight how this coronavirus has really emotionally struck a lot of people, as well as health-wise, is that 35% teachers of color compared to 47% teachers who are white are saying that they should go back. So we can see the lower percentages of people of color.
Well, teachers, the African-American community has been highly affected by COVID-19. Their rate of literally infection has been incredible. I mean, so there is I guess there would be, that probably goes along with the population.
Yes.
The concern of the population.
Sure, that's what I'm thinking as well. And it's a big concern, and they're an integral part of our, our school systems as well. So these are some of the, the concerns and statistics that are out there that exist. In addition to a lot of the logistics, Tom, it's very, very difficult for schools to get ready to be able to provide a safe environment for these kids and their educators.
But I do sympathize with what John was saying before. I say, look, I'm paying for this. I'm paying for all of this. Now you're going to tell me you're going to shut down the buildings, or you're not going to reopen. They haven't been open since March, but I've been paying the electric bill. I've been paying teacher salaries. I've been paying the administrative costs and so on. I can understand that line of thinking, but again, we're dealing with something that we haven't seen since 1918 with the pandemic of 1918, which killed a lot more people, 625,000 people of a population of this country, about 120 million. Now it's a population of about 320 million, and it's been, again, significantly less than that. But that is not to downplay it. Please don't interpret it that way. But we had a worse pandemic in 1918, and let's hope that we can get this under control quickly. But I could understand the fiscal concerns. I understand the educational concerns, the health concerns. This is a tough issue, Lisa Navarro.
Absolutely. Even the buses, getting kids to school safely, those have to be prepared, just like the entire school buildings need to be uprooted and revamped in terms of policies and procedures. So they're actually still working on that. Like you said, next week is August. Time goes by fast, and things take time to get done. And so when we're talking about the buses, they're brainstorming, collaborating. What's a safe way? They're thinking about curtains, adding curtains into the buses to separate the students. And now you have to have double the amount of buses because we have to socially distance children on buses and the seating as well. It is a task no one ever wanted, and there's a lot of money that goes involved in it.
There's a side issue to this. I do want to make a point reference. Timothy writes in, and he makes the point. Says, look around. Do you really think the government cares about your safety? Now, this goes along with the issues we're talking about this week. We have governments that are looking at rising crime rates, rising homicide rates. People are dying, and they still want to defund the police. They still want to take away public safety. They want want to pull law enforcement away from cities and so on. And I can understand what Timothy is saying, but we want to take an altruistic approach, Tim. I guess you might think I'm silly to say this, but you would hope that when it comes to the safety of our children. But I would question some of these, the techniques, like what Lisa just said about the buses and so on. Is that really going to help? I mean, is that really going to keep a virus away, or are we just maybe we're erring? We're going to err on one side of the issue. Maybe we should be considering it more 100% as opposed to, look, we don't feel comfortable by doing this, but what are the ramifications? And I'll ask you this, Lisa, and then we'll take some calls. 631-451-1039. What are the ramifications if we don't open the schools?
Oh, there's a lot of ramifications. I mean, there's children hurting themselves. There's depression. There's anxiety. There's also that impact, the same exact impact to the family structure. So we're talking about mental health issues. We're talking about trauma, PTSD, right? And so that just goes for the children and the family infrastructure. And then we get into the financial situation, because when you have children in elementary school, of course, they're not being left alone. They need help. If you have a child who has special needs, that adult needs to be with that child. If it's online, they're learning along with them just to try and help them get through the curriculum where they would have had that support in school. Now that ties up that parent from even working at home during those times. And we've heard even on the news of people being fired because they couldn't manage working from home and their children. And so now it's a continuing nightmare in terms of...
And childcare was non-existent. And I'm telling you, I'll go back to that. I want to take some calls, but I'll go back to it with you, is that did the online or the home work, the homeschooling type of thing work? And I'm hearing a lot of negative stuff about that, but I'll let you come at that in a minute. Let's get Paul over there in Riverhead. Paul, you're on the air, my friend.
Hey, Tom. How's it going?
Good. What do you say?
All right. Wanted to get a couple words in on the, changes that have to be made to schools to get the kids in there. I have two kids, third grader and first grader. They got to get back to school, hands down.
Yes.
But I can't see how in the last 3 months of not having the kids in school that the school districts didn't save some money. I don't see that you have to go look for more and more and more and more. How could you have not saved money?
Oh, God, that's a great question.
In school for 3 months.
Yeah.
Look at cafeteria, food, electric, air conditioning, the rest of the infrastructure costs, your subs, your security, all that stuff. I run a business. If I'm not operating, it's not costing me money. The schools were not operating. It could not have cost them the same amount of money to keep running. And if they did, there's even bigger problems with where the money goes.
Yeah.
I'm in Riverhead School District. They just tried to pass another $90 million budget. Thank God it did not pass, because we would have been in debt for another $90 million on top of what we're already in debt for. I'm all for the education of the kids, but there has to be some financial responsibilities. It's not just an open checkbook. It can't be.
We're talking about, hi, by the way, thank you for calling in. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And you know what, maybe because this is a concern and it's valid, I get it. Maybe once schools do open up, and maybe when there's more communication that the schools can have with the parents, then maybe some of these concerns will be a little bit more subsided. In terms of even, there have been some school districts have spent thousands and thousands of dollars just on being able to buy tablets and computers to make sure that their students have them at home.
Absolutely.
So let's just say that, that's an added expense, but now we can say, well, they didn't have the busing, right? So there was a money that trade-off. But there's just been so many unexpected expenses that's been put on the schools that, this is something really that's a great question for like your Board of Education. Just can you explain to us, and because I think, you know what it is? I think it's really important for the communities and the schools to work together. And so raising these questions when you have them and talking about them, it takes away the mystery, right? Okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, this doesn't. So explain that to me, because the bottom line is, our kids need us all to work together. And so I think it's great that you called in. I want you to keep a little bit of an open mind and ask your Board of Ed these questions in a way that, could you explain it to us a little bit, because we're here when we don't really understand.
Yeah. Good point.
I agree, and I appreciate you guys taking my call and listening to it. It's just I'm on the verge of being concerned, but also being realistic about the fact that the kids, we have to figure out how to get them back to school.
Exactly.
I mean, that's it. Bottom line.
Yeah.
My kids are looking for their friends.
Yeah.
They want to go back. They want to go back.
It's been summer since March 15th.
That's right.
Right. It's hard.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know what, too? I do want to say this, is that even though the kids want to go back so bad, they're going, in their minds, so many of them are going back to where they left. And we need... Exactly. Where they were. So we need to really prepare them that it's going to be different. And hopefully school districts, and this is what I'm advising, is that hopefully districts will give virtual tours of their schools to share with families and their children. So they'll see what their classrooms will look like, the hallways. And so that will prepare the kids. Yeah. So that way they can
I'm curious,
adjust.
Paul, what are the ages of your children?
8 and 6. My daughter just left kindergarten, so she's going into first grade.
You're in the thick of it. I mean, he's right in the middle of it, and I can understand that and how important that is.
And my wife, thank God, she works in banking.
Yeah.
They gave her the option to work from home.
Wow.
A lot of my friends, they don't have that option.
Right.
They're either people that are full-time employed that have to go either for a township job or a municipal job or anything. Or self-employed. I'm self-employed.
Yeah.
I don't work. I don't make any money. That's bottom line.
That's it.
And we went through this before, Tom. I have 10 full-time employees who work for me.
That's right.
Who also have children.
I remember when you called on. You're right. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, I did.
So I'm trying to be open-minded.
Yeah.
I think I have a lot of concerns that other people do.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah. And the kids got to get it, especially at that age. It's so important that they get it.
They got to go. It's
so
important. I remember that age, and I want them to remember it and not forget it. I don't want it to pass. When you're 40, you don't remember years anymore. It's just like
that's right. It all blends. But something to really
6 and 7 and 8, you have to remember.
Yeah.
You have to experience it.
And I'm thinking, too, that, your kids have kids and friends in those ages. And, just keep in mind I'm putting on my teacher hat for a minute. You might want to read stories to them. You might really want to talk with them, show them the visuals and pictures of what things are going to look like. So that way they're prepared. Because the more successful our students are and our children are with wearing these masks, the more everybody's going to feel comfortable, hopefully keeping all those numbers down. And so when we prepare our children for the change, I think that helps to meet with success. Yeah, so just keep that in mind.
The saddest thing I have to see is my 6-year-old daughter wearing a mask.
I know. I know. I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Never would have thought.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay. Trust me.
I feel it. Paul, thank you so much. Great phone call.
Have a
thank
great
you.
Day. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. 631-451-1039. Nelson in Miller Place. Nelson, what do you say, man?
Hello, Nelson.
Hey, what's going on? Listen, what I say is this. I said that we've all been sold a bill of goods. We were told that we needed to shut down for 30 days to cut, so that they can catch up with the PPE equipment, ventilators, and everything else. But this has just turned into a political hot ball. The kids don't catch the virus like the adults do, so their susceptibility is a lot less. And that should be the first thing that should have been prioritized to opening. The problem is the people when they had these school board elections in May, nobody asked these questions. How are you going to open up the schools to these candidates? And now we're just sitting here and we're at their mercy. And it's a tough thing for these kids. Who knows the long-term effect it's going to have on these kids?
Yeah.
Well, some of the school districts, they're creating and they have created task forces and committees, and many of them have parents and community members on them, and so that's an important. If you want to get involved, call your local school district and see what kind of input you can have.
Yeah, Nelson.
My kids are out of school, but if my kids were in school, I'd be making a big stink about it. I don't care. I don't want to hear excuses. Get it done.
Okay, so you want the schools to open. That's what you're saying.
You open them up. You got to open up. You got to stop playing politics with this stuff.
All right. Nelson, appreciate that. We'll get to other calls. 631-451-1039. Natalie over there in Brookhaven. Hey, Natalie, you're on the air.
Hi, how are you? My
Good.
name is Natalie.
Okay.
Hi, Natalie.
I'm calling, and I'm not only a parent, I'm a school bus driver as well.
Oh,
Great.
Right. I drive in the district of Hauppauge, and I'm calling because it's like a catch-22 when it comes down to this, because I have so many children that board the bus that you'll have some parents that would do the right thing, send their children and do the right thing, and then you'll have some parents that don't care. And their children, just to get their kids off the bus. It's times that kids came to school, and some of them have a stomach virus, and guess what? The whole bus catches a stomach virus.
Yep. It's true.
Within a period of 2 weeks, including me.
Yeah.
Including me. Okay, so I'm going home with a stomach virus. So we do have some parents that want their children back in school and will have their kids and will do what they have to do and tell them, listen, this is what you have to do. But then have some parents that will send their kids sick, knowing their kids are sick. And this is more than one occasion. And
Absolutely.
And this is how I can prooffully tell you that this is reality, is because they had a stomach virus going on around last year before the coronavirus.
Yep. I hear you. You know what? I know exactly what you're saying, and you're 100% on. So let me ask you this, Natalie. So being a school bus driver, do you see that there can be precautions taken on the school bus that you would feel comfortable driving in terms of safety measures?
Good question.
Yes, there are precautions that can be taken. But the precautions start from home.
I agree. I agree.
Because if you may want to go with the precautions, and I may want to go to precautions, but we have some parents and some children that will not deal with the precautions. I've had kids cough in other kids' faces.
So let me ask you this: would you feel comfortable as a bus driver, because you're not so sure about, are they sending that child in? Maybe they shouldn't come, right? I get that totally. Would you feel comfortable doing a temperature check before the child walks onto your bus?
Yeah, I would. I would feel very comfortable with that. I'm also prepared to do the 6 inches apart. I'm prepared to do all of that. Sit them, separate the seats, sit them every other seat.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that part too. But then again, it comes to some parents are not going to want their children to have a temperature check.
Right. Yeah. No, it's all true. I'm very curious. Did they say anything to you yet about the start of the school year? Have you been put on notice?
No, we haven't had our refresher classes. We haven't had anything doing yet. They're not speaking on anything.
Are you from Suffolk Transportation? Or does Hapa go on their own buses?
Suffolk Transportation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, I'm kind of curious. You actually, Natalie, I'm going to call you the unsung heroes of this whole discussion.
Absolutely.
Because you see the kids right early on, and school buses are not places where you can really effectively do 6 foot distance. And it's because they're walking on this. Sure. It's very difficult. I'll tell you, this is something else that has to be considered in this discussion.
And yes, without a doubt. And also,
it definitely has. It definitely needs to be really, you guys have to really, and other people that's listening have to understand, it really, really does. Because like I said, we just combated the bullying situation where kids get on the bus and they want to sit where they want to sit and do what they want to do. If we have the parents and they work with us and we do what we have to do, yes, this whole thing can be combated. Yeah. But if we have some people that we want our children to be safe and we want our children, have children that's gotten sick and go home and give it to their parents. I've seen that happen.
Yeah. So how about if you have a special needs child who has an individual bus matron? Do you think that if that bus matron was to wear full PPE, then that would be acceptable procedure to move forward with busing the children?
Yeah. But then again, it has some children that do have needs that will spit on you, cough on you, throw things at you. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's an unsung world.
You got a tough job there, Natalie. That's a tough job, and this is going to be a tougher year.
And thank you so much for calling in. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Natalie. Thank you so much. Final call of the show, James from Calverton. Hey, James, you're back on.
You forgot to say that of the 700 children that died in the United States from the coronavirus, every single one of them had a precondition, the disease that they were suffering from. No healthy children have died from
I don't know about that. I mean,
that's why this is all. I just Googled it.
Yeah.
And I YouTubed it. And I looked on the federal government. I called 311. No healthy children have died. This is all nonsense. With taking kids' temperature before they get on the bus.
But what about the bus drivers? What about the teachers? They're all part of the whole dynamic here.
What, the lines are going to be backed up on the highway 3 miles long. This is all nonsense.
All right.
So stupid.
James.
How you can fall for
We
it.
love you, James. James, thank you for
Thank you,
calling.
James.
Lisa, you finish this up because this was a very contentious discussion. It's happening right now. We're waiting for the governor to make this decision, and it affects hundreds of thousands of people here on Long Island. Our children, the parents, like Paul just called in from Riverhead. Excellent phone call.
Yes.
You know, again, how important that is. Finish it up for us.
So here's the reality, everybody. We're really not going to know until September what we're doing in terms of school. Are we going in? Is it going to be hybrid? It's going to be full-time or whatnot? Most likely be hybrid. But I'm going to tell you, you all have wonderful points that you've shared with us today. I appreciate all the phone calls. I would encourage you to keep the emotions down, keep thinking about things, and then communicating them with your school district. You have questions, ask them. And their work, you have to know this, your school districts are working diligently the best that they can in an extremely short amount of time for a massive undertaking. So I really implore all of us to work together because we all want one thing. We want kids to go back to school.
With
right?
that, the 2 o'clock hour is upon us. Breaking it down with the great Frank McKay coming up with us. I want to thank Lisa Navarro. Lisa, very quickly, phone number for
childbehaviorconsulting.com, 631-617-1958. I want to hear from you. Thank you.
Everybody have a great and safe weekend. Stay healthy. We'll see you all on Monday.